Hello again, guys. SSAWs, Brian Lewis, Reform Hooligans here. So we talked about Jack Grealish yesterday. Today, we're going to talk about Leo Messi. So obviously, there's a ripple effect here, right? So let's talk about this for a second. Now, Bartomeu is involved in some really sketchy shit. Okay. There was money laundering involved, very sketchy shit. If you're a fan of Portuguese clubs, Benfica, anything like that, you know what this is all about. If you're familiar with what's some of the dirty business going on in Italy, you would know. But basically, lamest terms, Barcelona are in huge debt, over $1 billion in debt. They took out a big loan. Messi makes about 35 to 50% of their profits, I think. Of their income, I mean, not their profits, their income. I think they make like $300 million euros off of Leo Messi. So the merchandising and the marketing aspect of Messi is a whole different level than what it has been. Now, personally, for this take, I could have basically, Osahan and I and Abe could have helped me out with this, and we could have just went back and went through our old podcasts, our old Reform Hooligans archives. I have most of the archives actually on my computer, and as well as on Spotify, where you can listen to Reform Hooligans. Shameless plug. This is what it comes down to, right? Not to get all like fiscally and economics, but let's put it this way: a club spends beyond their means. Now, financial fair play may have impacted in the kind of salary cap that La Liga put in place, which it is what it is. I mean, if you want a level competition, it won't do that because there's many other reasons why it won't succeed. But that's not the reason. So there's a couple different elements going on, right? Now, if Messi were to leave Barcelona last season, Manchester City were the favorites to sign him. And then never mind the whole Sergio Aguero mess is involved in this as well. So I guess let's kind of start here. Now, Bartomeu gets indicted by Spanish police on a whole laundering and tax evasion, whatever, on that whole realm. And this sets the club back big time. Now, Joan Laporta ended up announcing that he was going to run for president of Barcelona. He then wins said election. They go out and sign Memphis Depay. They go out and sign Sergio Aguero. They decided to go a different route, right? Now, they were trying to keep Messi. They had a deal with Messi. Messi wanted to stay at Barcelona. So it seemed like all sides involved wanted to make this work. But at the same time, I think this is what it comes down to for Barcelona. Their poor fiscal habits meet the COVID pandemic, where crowds obviously weren't allowed to go to games because, I mean, yeah, there's a pandemic. There's that. And never mind the fact there's not a lot of hope for this season either with the Delta variant. You know, with the Lukaku sale at Inter is a very similar circumstance to that. So this is where I feel a little different about the way the business is going to concern with Leo Messi. And Messi's wages were astronomical, right? I mean, he was making like an insane amount of money. I think he was making like 55 million euros a year. Now, for those of you who have young kids, young men, get them into soccer, please. I'll go through Team USA, the future as well, going down the line. But Messi is just the best player in the world to many. Me coming from Portuguese heritage, I'm biased. I'm going to pick Team Ronaldo, but I am never going to deny Messi's ability. In fact, I would love to see Messi and Ronaldo play together. I want Messi selfishly to go to Juventus. That's just, I would love to see it. If I were Juve, I would have given up Dybala and Bernardeschi to make that work, among others. I would have given up Alexandro if it meant getting freaking anybody. So that would be just another overpriced veteran on Barcelona's payroll, but I digress. So from there, you know, Joan Laporta gets elected. They get a deal done, and there's been a lot of talk. You know, you can go on Rabona TV, Football Daily, doesn't really matter. They kind of, the whole guideline of this has been very well orchestrated. It's been very played out. For American sports fans that compare it to LeBron's exit in Cleveland, the first time, that was pretty heartbreaking. Tom Brady's exit from New England was pretty high profile. But this is bigger than that. You know, this is bigger than that. This is Messi. This is Wayne Gretzky getting traded from the Oilers. Big. This is if Derek Jeter were to play on a different team type big. This is astronomical. Now, where Messi could go, there's only about 5 or 6 teams that could afford him. I'm not going to put Bayern Munich in the realm because Bayern have never really been the team that will go out and break the bank for a talent. They kind of did with Leroy Sané, and I mean, I like Sané, but Sané always kind of feels like there's always more to be desired with him. But again, Leroy Sané is not even 25. So there's still a lot to build on from him, and we know Sané can play. Now with Messi, if he were to go to Bayern, I don't know where he'd play, because, I mean, you would think they wouldn't want to put Gnabry on the bench. Putting Sané on the bench would really be a complication. And then, of course, you have Lewandowski. You're not going to sit Lewandowski. So, and then you have Jamal Musiala, the youngster. You'd have to probably loan him out. So, I mean, there's a lot of different elements for Bayern. But I think, realistically speaking, Chelsea's out because they have signed Lukaku. And they still have, you know, Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi and Hakim Ziyech could be out of there. So, Chelsea have too much attacking talent at this point, especially with Havertz. Man City would have been a fun fit, but obviously with Jack Grealish, that's not going to happen. And even if they got rid of Silva, that's just not going to happen. Like, I mean, a Messi, Gabby Jesus, and I mean, I actually think, you know, there could be talks about Sterling moving inside too. I mean, you could see a Jack, Raheem, and Mahrez front three, but it's going to be interesting. I think Ferran Torres is going to probably jump in that realm too for Man City. So I don't even think they need him there. I think the 2 best fits for him, realistically, if we're being serious, right? You have to get teams that pay, and you have to have teams that are going to be willing to play that role. Now, Neymar is good friends with Messi. He's reached out, said it to the media, and I think PSG is where he goes. The other team could be Real Madrid because, I mean, Madrid have done it before. They stole, I mean, Ronaldo used to play for Barcelona. He went to Real Madrid. Figo left Barcelona for Madrid in the most monumental way possible, to the point where they were throwing pigs' heads at him on the field while doing corners. So I feel like those are the only 2 teams. And if I'm Real Madrid, I'm holding out for Mbappe. And if Kylian Mbappe is the domino effect of Messi going to PSG, it may save PSG from themselves. They're a loaded roster right now. So if you were to go with Messi, Donnarumma, Wijnaldum, Ramos, Hakimi, that's the best transfer window in human history. That's like Football Manager with $1 billion right there. And you got 3 of those guys on a free. Hakimi and Messi doesn't really become a free transfer because you're going to end up paying him close to astronomical wages. Which comes to the next point where I think the Barcelona thing didn't work. Now, keep in mind, the original deal that Barcelona and Messi had taken place was a contract that was up to 50% wage deduction, and there was even talks of a 75 to 85% reduction, especially when it came to Antoine Greizmann, Phillipe Coutinho, and obviously, you know, other players that have taken the payroll for Barcelona. Barcelona has no one to blame but themselves. You know, I don't think they're going to fall all too far because I think the gap between 3rd and 4th in La Liga is so huge. I mean, Atletico Madrid won La Liga last season and they almost choked it away. Real Madrid won it the year before with a team that had no Eden Hazard, and obviously Varane was hurt. You know, Courtois was playing out of his freaking mind. But, you know, without Ronaldo, I mean, basically with Karim Benzema carrying the squad for Real Madrid. So, and I think for Barca, like, even without Messi, they're still far better than a Sociedad, a Sevilla. I mean, there are some other clubs. I mean, Villarreal won Europa League. I don't think Villarreal are really a top 5 team right now in Spain. I mean, they have good players, but they're basically, you know, Valencia with Gerard Moreno instead of Maxi Gomez, with competent manager and Unai Emery. So I don't know. I think Barcelona, if you're Barcelona, if you lose Messi, so now you're basically saying we're going to have to build the team around Pedri, Frankie de Jong. Hopefully we'll see what happens with Serginho Dest. I'm a little worried about his ability to track back and play defensively on a counter. He gets countered way too much because he presses so far forward. And I mean, you have Lenglet and PK. PK's old, so they're going to have to figure out what to do there. They just have a lot of dead weight on that roster. I mean, you can't even play Phillipe Coutinho because then you're going to owe Liverpool more money. Greizmann is good, but Greizmann, you overpaid for him grossly. I mean, Frankie de Jong's nice. You have, Pjanic, who was a disaster. After Arthur, who was a disaster. Also a disaster for Juventus. So, I mean, it's just... Barcelona has, the academy, the Barcelona Academy, which is one of the best academies in the world. Why don't they just use the talent they have from that? I mean, Fati, Pedri, Gabby is a 16-year-old they're going to probably see a lot of. I'm sure we're going to have to see something from Emerson if they keep him around. I don't know if Emerson stays there. So... there's just a lot of concern right now at Barcelona. But I mean, again, Barcelona, after Figo left, had to rebuild. And they eventually had a team of Deco, Ronaldinho. Well, I mean, Deco eventually. Deco went to Chelsea first. But eventually they had Ronaldinho, and then obviously the core that ended up being Xavi, Iniesta, Puyol. Just the team that ended up winning the Champions League under Pep. But also they were competitive in the mid-2000s as well. I mean, when Messi emerged and replaced Ronaldinho, they had Deco, they had Henry, they had Eto'o, they had... it's just, that was just how it was. I mean, they had Yaya Toure, I believe, as well, in that stretch, before he went to Man City. So, there's just a lot that goes into the team-building aspect. And I think with Barcelona's youngsters, they should be able to finish third, no less than fourth. I think fourth would be an absolute disaster, or unless... I don't see Sevilla making big moves to improve themselves. I mean, Eric Lamela is not going to be a move that's going to make anyone sneeze at. But with some of the other La Liga clubs not really making too much noise, Barcelona's disaster shouldn't hurt them too greatly, all things considered. But as far as Messi goes, I think it'll be sad to see him leave Barcelona. La Liga takes a huge hit. So this is the last angle of this, right? So La Liga put in a cap to kind of put Real and Barca were the target clubs. And also clubs that spend beyond their means, like, Valencia has gotten in the habit of doing, Bilbao, it obviously doesn't get impacted, but, you see the other clubs that have poor spending habits in their history. Deportivo, characteristically in the past. But long story short, they wanted to prevent players from getting these astronomical wages so that way medium clubs can at least compete. Because I don't think the transfer fees are what's screwing some of these teams over. I think some of these teams can afford to go a full 40, 50 million in fees in some cases. But it's the wages that's been setting these owners back and a lot of these teams back. Because the thing is, if the transfer doesn't work out and the player doesn't play well, you end up in a situation like Newcastle has with Save, I think that's his name. You have guys on certain rosters. I mean, PSG had Jesse for 3 years, and I don't even think he played a minute. So that's just how it is. Like, I think it's just to prevent that from happening, save the teams from themselves. Now, I'm against these kind of rules realistically because the way it is in sports is more rules tend to make it more complicated. It just tend to make it easier for the bigger teams to break the rules anyway. But that's just historically the way I've always felt. Now, the final thought with Messi here is obviously Sergio Aguero. So now with the La Liga, now the league and Barcelona are fighting, right? Messi and Barcelona agreed, but the league is preventing Messi from staying. Now, La Liga may want to cave in eventually if Messi and Aguero are going to give him commercial income and everything with their TV deal. Now remember, La Liga is going to ESPN Plus this season, which I'm pumped about that because that means I can watch. I was always a fan. One of the first teams I liked was Valencia in Spain, and they kind of break my heart because how incompetent Peter Lim is as an owner. But, you know, that's just it. I mean, Valencia are dealing with their own issues too. But unlike Barcelona, where no matter what they do, they'll never finish worse than 4th or 5th, Valencia are now in the relegation zone. So I think the margin of error is much bigger at the bigger clubs. And I think La Liga is trying to appease the other clubs in the league that feel like Barcelona just they can't fail. They're too big to fail. Tell me where you've heard that before. And that's basically it. I think Barca will be fine. I think it'll be a 2 or 3 year rebuild. And even if they lose Aguero, I still think having Memphis Depay and Antoine Greizmann and having Pedri and Fati on the left and right, you still can have, you know, a midfield of, you know, Busquets for 1 more year. Sergio Roberto might be able to alternate there as well in the defensive midfield. You have Frankie de Jong. It's just, I feel like Barca had so many holes. And defensively, they still have holes because there's no way they're going to look. I don't think they're going to play. I mean, Tadibou's gone. Lenglet and Piqué are older. And there's no guarantee that, you know, Umtiti gets in there. They don't really want to play him. And I don't know where Barcelona's direction is right now. Honestly, I really don't. What are they going to do with all these academy products that they've been selling? So they got rid of Trincao and took a loss on Trincao to go to Wolves. So it's just all these poor business practices. Like we've been saying on Reform Hooligans for the past couple of years. It just, Barcelona finally blew up in their face. It really did.